I have all the Guys and Dolls songs. Okay. So this video is by no means mandatory. It's basically to help you decide what you think is interesting in terms of your biotechnology project. I went through real quick, sort of sorted through a ton of information and picked what I thought would be interesting, or what I think is interesting, and some of you might think is interesting. I'm going to post this PDF on Blackboard as well, so you'll have access to it there. I broke it into the 3 subtopics: medicine, agriculture, and industry. That's how our reference set is broken up. They're like 3 different books. And in each one, on each topic, there's a good 2 or 3 pages of background that should help you sort of understand what the technology is and help you come up with what a good essential question would be. The cool thing about this project for biotechnology, biotechnology affects your lives, from medicines you take to food you eat, all that stuff. But also, a lot of areas of biotechnology are controversial, which makes for a good project, makes for something interesting, makes for a good essential question. Okay, so in this medicine column, a lot of antibiotics are biosynthesized. So they're made using living things like yeast or bacteria. That's also over here in bioreactors, okay, which is like the way that you grow yeast or bacteria in a controlled way to help you manufacture things like biosynthesized antibiotics. The history behind aspirin is really cool. Biochips, which are also called gene chips or DNA chips, have a lot of applications. They're super new. Bioethics sort of deals with the ethics behind all this stuff. If that's more into you, or if you're maybe thinking you want to go into like law, that would be an interesting topic to pick. Bioinformatics, I still don't really know what it is. My boyfriend's getting a PhD in it. No idea. But it's basically a cross-section of like statistics and DNA and gene sequencing. Blood transfusions are, really interesting if you're sort of interested in the real medicine doctor side of things. Botox. Cloning is super controversial, especially human cloning, but you can also look at animal cloning. Cryonics is where you immediately after a person dies, you freeze and store them, like Walt Disney. DNA fingerprinting, if you like those CSI type shows. DNA vaccines are really cool. If you researched a virus that didn't have a cure yet, you might be interested in this. A lot of fertility treatments would fall into this category too of biotechnology. Freezing eggs, in vitro fertilization, nuclear transfer, which is actually where you transfer nuclei of cloned cells. It's really cool. Just learned about it today. Gene therapy, genetic testing, human genome project, anything with genes is going to fit in there. Genetically modified foods, which is a big thing, especially with countries living in poverty, super helpful. Human growth hormone, there's kids who don't grow, they're short, and they get these human growth hormone injections, so that could be something cool, or if you know someone who's going through that. Recombinant insulin, if you know or have diabetes or know someone with diabetes, you might be interested in that. Pharmacogenetics is a fun word to say, but it's where you use people's genes to predict how they're going to respond to different medications, which is really cool and helpful. Any sort of stem cell research and any sort of tissue engineering, so engineering like new skin or arms or whatever you want to think about. In the field of agriculture, every time. Okay, a lot of people are looking at cloning livestock, like cows and things that we eat, for the sort of food industry. Aquaculture is when we use technology to breed like fish and all that, aqua, water, okay, like agriculture, but aqua, okay. Biofuels, it's using things that were alive to make fuel, like an alternative fuel, rather than using fossil fuels. Biological crop rotation, so when you grow crops, they like deplete certain resources in the soil, so like planning how you're going to rotate your crops is really interesting. Insect-resistant plants, under this same umbrella, anything, like anytime you modify a plant to make it insect-resistant or disease-resistant or frost-resistant or drought, whatever. So you can look into that. Genetically modified foods is over here again. Apparently you can also genetically modify cotton. Fat substitutes, like olein and olestrin, those crazy chips from a while ago. You guys probably don't remember. Sugar substitutes, like stevia and Splenda, stuff like that. And any genetically modified organism that you're changing its genes to change its function. This is getting longer than I intended, but whatever. And then in industry, animal testing. We use animal testing on a lot of products. That involves life and technology. It would be cool to look at. Antimicrobial soaps or any of those antibacterial like hand sanitizers you guys love. Biodegradable packaging, so packaging that would then biodegrade, it wouldn't be trash. Bioglass is this really cool product. There should be a copyright thing here. I hope they don't catch me. That you can use to help bones heal and set and any sort of skeleton things. It's really cool. I don't know a lot about it. I'm a teacher, not a doctor, but it's really cool. I already talked about bioreactors. Cosmetics, a lot of cosmetics involve biotechnology, so make sure you focus on that piece of it. Ethanol, which is from corn, using that as an alternative fuel. There's also a section in the industry reference book about using biotechnology as a means for searching for extraterrestrial life. So if that interests you, astronomy, outer space stuff, that might be a good way to go. Fuel cells, super interesting, super new, a lot of good information on them, a lot of good science behind them. A lot of cleaning products use living things to help them become better. So that's kind of neat. Nutraceuticals is a word I'd never heard before today, which is any food that shows health benefits beyond like traditional health benefits. Like vitamin C is good for you. There's some foods that I guess have more of a benefit, more of an impact, and they're being researched. Again, if you're sort of on the law side of things, people have been talking a lot about patents in biotechnology and what you can and cannot patent, because parts of biotechnology are just things that are alive. They're things that are in nature, so you can't really patent that. So that's a really interesting topic. Plant-made pharmaceuticals, so if you inject DNA into a plant to make it grow whatever drug it is that you were trying to get and sell and make tons of money, that's a good field. Security technology, simple enough as like, scanning your fingerprint or scanning your eyes, stuff like that. I feel like those James Bond type things. And then there's tons and tons and tons of categories within waste treatment. So like wastewater treatment or actual like waste treatment, like your trash, what we do with it, all that stuff. So like I said, none of you probably watched this whole thing, but whatever. I'm going to post this PDF so you'll have it and you can look at it. We're going to have a question check next week sometime, I think. All right.